Hi guys, and welcome to the Lowland League Catch-Up. It's myself, Rampant FM, and I am with Mozza once again. How are you doing, mate?
I'm really well, mate. How's you?
Aye, good. Have a good Christmas.
Really good. Aye. How about yourself?
Pretty decent actually. I think I tweeted out saying it was probably one of the best Christmas I've had in a few years, so pretty good. We're obviously hoping that everyone else who listens and had a decent Christmas and obviously a decent New Year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone involved in the clubs and fans and so on, and the new year coming as well. Hope it's a good one for you.
Yep, so we'll get straight into the action, Mozza. No Edisport this week, they had the week off. We'll start with Friday's game, East Stirlingshire drawn 2-2 with University of Stirling. We'll start off probably I think a minute or two in, Andy Grant, yellow card. Probably one of the fastest yellow cards this season, I think. It was literally like tweeted out, we're underway here at Falkirk Stadium, and then Andy Grant yellow card the first time.
It was pretty much done in one fell swoop, was it? I don't think the phone would have even been put on back on its silent or whatever. So he didn't waste any time making his impression on it, obviously.
So from what I heard, chances few and far between, but with half an hour gone, it was a penalty for Stirling Uni with Kieran Hall converting to make it 1-0. Shire bundled the ball over the line to equalise just before half time, with Connor Green getting the final touch from a Shire corner. Uni were putting pressure on Shire in the second half and did regain their lead through Lewis Bonner, but it wasn't to be for them. Another Shire corner, another Connor Green equaliser. Uni did have a chance to win it in the end, but it wasn't to be. Sounds like a really sort of tough draw, battle hardened draw between both teams. I would say it's Shire certainly making the most of their corners anyway.
Yeah, it's two teams scrapping away for every point they get just now. We've spoken about Uni up to this point already. They've not had kind of the best of seasons in terms of results in the league, but on their day they're more than capable. We've obviously touched on that, but a bit of a local derby these days now, the Shire Stirling games.
Yep.
And the two of them always seem to go hammering and tongs at it, and it's generally pretty close games. So on the face it seems to be a reasonably fair result. The Shire have made the most of their set pieces, and Uni, the second goal they scored was actually a really decent goal. They put clips on their Twitter page if anyone wants to go and have a look. But from the general consensus, seems to be it was a fair result in the end.
And special congratulations goes to Connor Green tonight, equalling the long-standing goal-scoring record of 22 goals by a defender for Shire. I think it's hard keeping up with transfers in the Lowland League for like 15 teams. I don't know who's keeping these records, but fair play to Connor Green and anyone that's keeping the records of goals by a defender in the Shire team. That's phenomenal. I'll be at Shire next week. Looking forward to it. I'm going to hopefully have a few words with the Shire chaplain, get his sort of view on the season, how Shire are doing, expectations for this season and beyond. So I think just a Shire point of view would obviously add to the podcast as well. I think the last time we spoke, Mozza, I was speaking about University of Stirling, how I felt they could have easily got involved in the relegation battle, but I tell you what, last two results, They've picked themselves up and they're chasing down the old rivals, Edinburgh Uni.
They've done what they had to do, ultimately. So, well, you can't really say they're out of the woods. Realistically, you'd think they've got enough of a gap there with the games that they've got left. And to be honest with you, the way Chris Geddes manages them, I don't think they'd ever have been worried about relegation in terms of the chats they'd have had amongst the team.
Yep.
Like they'd always be focusing on pushing up the table rather than looking behind them. Just the way his kind of mentality is. So, but he's done a cracking job ever since he's filled in when Shelley Kerr moved on, and it's going to be another season of stability for them by the looks of things.
Yeah, brilliant. Speaking of derbies, obviously we had a massive derby day all over Scottish football, but we had our own equivalents of a few derbies. We'll start with the Border Derby, Gala Ferrydean Rovers versus Vale of Leven. Somewhat of a rout, I would say. Rory Payton opening the scoring in 36 minutes, and well, what a performance from Tommy Patterson. 4 goals put past Vale, and massive congratulations to Phil Addison coming on for Peyton later into the game. 6 months out injured, 6 minutes on the pitch, and he scores his first competitive goal for Gallagher to make it 6-0. Absolute rout of Vale there, though.
Mm-hmm. And Phil's, it's really good to see him back because he's a properly solid, good player at this level. He's a guy that I suspect a few clubs were looking at in the summertime, but there's no better way than to come back from a long injury layoff than to score straight away, is there?
Definitely not.
I'm sure he enjoyed it, but this is a kind of performance that Gal has been threatening for a little while now. But it's again something that we've talked about at length in these recent podcasts when we've been doing them, that ever since their kind of slightly sticky start, they've just gone on to different gears. And the league table shows that they've came right back up to the middle of the pack, but Vale are leading they've kind of gone the opposite way after a decent strong start. The goals have dried up for them, and the defence hasn't improved because they were basically just trying to outscore teams early on, and now that they're not scoring as many, they're falling kind of the wrong way down the table.
Yep.
So it's a tough day at the office for them and Chris Anderson, obviously, but no, fair play to the Rovers, because that's the most eye-catching result of the weekend, I'd suggest.
Yeah, definitely result of the weekend. And in terms of Vale, I saw them last week against Kelty, and they sat in, they done their job. I think the best way of describing it was from Craig McBride himself. He tweeted out, reports of a daylight robbery taking place in Fife today. 11 males were seen fleeing from Kelty. They really sat in. The result against Gala really didn't shock me, though, because I think if Kelty had managed to get a goal, I think they would have put a few past them, to be honest. But Vale, I think they're finding it tricky at the moment. I mean, they've got probably one of the smaller squads in the league, as we know, and they've been turning up to games with like 11 players or one or two substitutes, and I think that's affecting them as well. We don't know what's going to be happening with Sean Shore, obviously, if he's going to be staying or not, but I think we could probably see a similar situation that we saw at Dalbeattie when Dean Brotherson left, if Sean does decide to leave or whatever happens with that. But worrying times for Vale, I would say. But I think they've done enough, I think, so far in the first half of the season to feel a wee bit safe. But it's certainly not out of the water, I wouldn't suggest.
No. I mean, the good work they did early doors has helped them. From when you look at the table just now, they're 10 points clear of Whitehill Welfare. They've got a game in hand. They've got 12 games left.
Yep.
So, assuming that they can pick up the odd points here and there, they should be fine. But recent form suggests it's going to be a tough one. And you're quite right to say that they do have one of the smaller squads in the competition. So, this kind of time of year is always a nightmare for teams with the smaller first teams. And we'll see if things improve for them as we reach February and March time.
Definitely, mate. Going into another derby, obviously the Edinburgh derby, not Hibs and Hearts, our own Edinburgh derby, Spartans versus Civil Service Strollers. It was what I put down as my game of the week. I think a must win for both teams, and yeah, the spoils were shared in the derby as it happens when you hype these things up. It ends up being a 0-0 or a 1-1 like it was. Talk about quick ones. 23 seconds. Stephen McDonald loses man and shoots, and it beats Josh Donaldson between the Civil Service sticks. 1-0 to Spartans after 23 seconds. I think that's the fastest goal this season, if I remember correctly.
I think we'd remember any quicker ones.
Yep. What a start for Spartans, obviously. But from what I've heard, the majority of the game was scrappy. It took to the 78th minute when Mark McConnell was pushed in the Spartans box. Civil Service got the penalty. Jack Downey levels from the penalty spot. And no Jobbygate this week. So yeah, share of the spoils, a bit of a scrappy one. Usually what you come to expect in these sort of tense affairs, I would suspect.
Yeah, and I think Spartans christened this one the North Edinburgh Derby just to give it a little bit of difference for the game down the road, which I quite liked. But we discussed previously that realistically Dougie Samuel had to go and get these boys winning out to have a chance of retaining their title.
Yep.
I think that might have gone now.
I think so, yep.
Because They've played the same amount of games as Kilby now. They're 11 points off the pace. The form Kilby's in, I can't see them dropping 4 games as things progress. So I guess for Spartans now, it'll be looking to secure a top 3, top 4 finish. And Strollers are only a point off the pace, so they'll fancy their chances of overtaking their Edinburgh rivals there. It's not like them to draw many games either, so it must have been a strange feeling for them this weekend. But
yep.
I suspected of taking that if you'd offered it before the game, that they would have had a point to go home with. And it certainly sounds like it was a decent contest, like both teams giving it everything they had and not too much between them. So again, seems a fair enough result from what we've heard.
Yep, I was actually going to ask you that, Mozza, but you've answered the question. Obviously, I also kind of believe that maybe 11 points is too much, especially the way Kilby have been defensively, going forward, winning games. But yeah, certainly several realistic top 4 contenders, in my opinion, as well. It'll be interesting, the battle between sort of both of them, and then seeing where they push to see if they can maybe take on Kelty and BSC the second half of the season.
I think Gary Jardin's in with a shout of being manager of the year at this stage, because before the season started, I think, in all fairness, I think we picked the top 4 that are sitting there just now, those 4 sides in some kind of order. But I don't think anyone had Strollers in the top 5 or 6. Cumbernauld Colts were the other pick that were quite a popular one, and they are sitting right behind them. But the job Gary Jardin's done in there has been absolutely fantastic, and fair play to him and the lads.
Definitely. Getting into the game, I was at Edinburgh University 1, Kelty Hearts 3. Kelty Hearts dominated the first half, I would say. Really sort of decent showing that they put on. Brian Ritchie back in the team, coming back from injury, cuts inside the Uni defence and curls one past the keeper. It was almost as a disaster within 15 minutes for Uni, as one of their defenders kind of put too much on a header back to the keeper, but he managed to get something on it to obviously avoid the own goal. It was great play from Ritchie and Macaulay to find Chris Dodd, who scored his first goal for Kelty. Scott Dial had a lot of chances. I kind of feel sorry for Scott Dial. Just before we go on, I kind of feel sorry for him a wee bit, because he's not played a lot of the games. If you look throughout the seasons, it's probably been Stuart Cargill, Matty Gay, and then the last sort of 3 games or so he's been kind of put into the first team starting, and he's maybe lost a wee bit of composure having not played as much. And I think it showed, or certainly has shown the last 2 or 3 games, I think, for him. So he's been unlucky, but going into the second half, it was a goal for Uni, Abdel Youssef, who I thought was fantastic. We'll get into that now. It was a bit of a shocker, to be honest. I would say against the run of play, but right up the park, Kelty got their third. They answered straight back. Dodd forces a save from the Uni keeper, but he couldn't hold it, and Ross Much fires it in to make it 3, and that was pretty much the game. In fairness to Edinburgh Uni, mate, they came into it the second half. Certainly, had Kelty not been so sort of forceful in the first half, I think against any other team, Edinburgh Uni certainly showed what they can do, and how good they are, certainly. Yeah,
and I've been guilty of underestimating them this season. I'm quite happy to admit that. They're a lot stronger than I anticipated they were going to be, especially in terms of working as a unit and defending well and playing for each other. But I did fancy Kelty to come through this one, and they've dropped a few points recently. This might be them kicking on again, because it wasn't an easy place to go. Peffermill, but they've done the business. As you've said, they've had a couple of guys kind of coming into the team because of injuries and so on. I noticed they put a message out about a couple of under-20s that have come in and done really well. So that's obviously really good to see in terms of long term. But a comfortable enough one. And from what I saw, especially given they answered back the Uni goal instantly, like within a minute. So They obviously didn't appreciate conceding, put it that way. Quite fancy getting that 2-goal cushion back. But it's kind of bigger challenges to come for Kelty in the run-in, and for Uni, they're now at the point where they can be quite comfortable and just try and finish as high as possible, ultimately.
Just before we go on, mate, I did manage to have a few words from Kelty first team coach Murray McDowell. I'm here with Murray McDowell. What are your thoughts on today's win over at Edinburgh Uni?
I thought we started the game really well on a difficult surface, and I think we were clinical in the first half. We took chances early, and I think we were comfortable after that. We got a sloppy goal for them in the second half, but then we've gone back up the park and scored straight away, which I think we probably needed that 2-goal cushion, and the boys deserved that. We didn't really. We've been creating a lot of chances over the last few weeks, and just not getting a break. I mean, if you had seen the game last week against Bailey, then I think we had 30 shots on goal and couldn't score. But I guess a lot of that was down to just not getting the rubber of the green, a little bit of not good finishing as well. But I thought that the boys, when they got the chances today, they were more ruthless in front of goal, and we got a much deserved win going into the new year, and finishing off a really good year for us, with the promotion and the great start. We've had a little blip, but it was always going to happen. I mean, I think East Kilbride they'll have a little blip as well. They're at the top of the league now. We've been up there, we've been the target. Everybody's raised their game when they're playing us, and I think we're getting a lot of that with being the new boys in the league, and obviously having such a high profile manager with the team to beat. But we need to try and we need to be able to deal with that, and it's kind of new territory for us. So it's good.
Back to winning ways, obviously East Stirlingshire next week. Are we hoping to take the momentum into the Shire game?
Yeah, definitely. It's a massive surface there. We went there last time in the cup, and they beat us 3-2. So I think we learned a lot about that game. We'll be able to watch it back, and they really used their pitch and the dimensions of the pitch to their advantage. But we'll be looking to we will have a formation and a game plan to go in that to kind of counteract how they played last time, and I'm pretty sure that we've got the quality and the players. Great to see big Brian Ritchie coming back, getting on the score sheet, big Scott Dale playing that role up front and bringing others into play. And I think Chris Dodds has been excellent the last 2 games. He could have created 3 goals in the first half last week on his debut, and we just never couldn't put one of them in the back of the net. And I think he scored one and created one today. And he's probably something that the team needs. Something that gets us on the front foot. Can go out. I can go outside, come inside, and he's got end product as well, which we need in the final third. So I thought if we can take that into next week's game against East Stirling, I think we can start to kick on again and go on another run.
So that's me speaking to Murray there after the Edinburgh Uni game. It's obviously we want to thank him for having a chat with us. He mentioned obviously the fact that they had a bit of a spell, and I agree with him. I wouldn't like to say that Kelty are back to where they were, because they're a different team, I would say. I praised Tam Courts the way he had Kelty playing earlier in the season, and Barry's came in, totally changed the way they've played. They've brought in a couple of players like Chris Dodd, Finn Graham, for example, and it's really changed the way they play. And I don't think people really saw that, because they had still basically Barry had kind of continued the good form, and the results were coming just after Tam. And I think it's only been recently that people have realised that they have sort of changed the way they play.
Yeah. I think, well, when I was at the Kelty BSC game with you, we had a chat about this, because it seems that Barry's kind of got a more patient style, that he likes to play a bit more. I think what Tam was doing was really kind of quick and effective direct football, and that's not a criticism anyway, because it was still good to watch, and it was working great guns. But I think the way Barry seems to be approaching it is they're looking long term, and he's thinking what approach will give us a chance should we get into the leagues proper and keep moving up, from what I've seen there. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. It is quite a big change in the approach, and that might explain, obviously, kind of dropping a few points in the middle of the season there. But he's trying to put his own stamp on the team, as any new manager would, and bringing in his own bodies as well. And the summer's going to be big for Kelty. If they don't go on to win the league, it'll be interesting to see how they change things up and basically kind of launch a challenge next time round.
Murray also mentioned that the Kelty have kind of been targets this season. Obviously, the new boys in the league. Obviously, having a high-profile manager like Barry. I would agree with that in a lot of ways. Obviously, you hear a lot of things about Kelty. Maybe even from old rivals in the east of Scotland and competitors in the west, if you will. But I think they've dealt with it quite well. I mean, I don't think there's an East of Scotland team or, in fairness, a South Scotland team that would, if they had just came in the league and were third sort of going into the new year, I think the majority of them would take that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like you were saying about the under-20s, we did see that with Tam Courts as well. A few of them getting their chance, but Kieran Macaulay and Ross Much, they've been fantastic. They've sort of became starters at Kelty as well, mate. And obviously, it's not been really mentioned, but they've got Stephen Husband, Kieran Chalmers, and Stuart Cargill coming back as well from suspension. So, Cargill was on the bench actually, but he'll probably be in the first team soon again. So, it'll be interesting to see what Kelty do coming out the wee spell they had. Yeah,
and it'll obviously help getting those guys back because they'll be a massive influence in the team. And, well, you kind of don't want to see them in the team sheet when you're facing them.
No. So on to our next game. It was Whitehill Welfare. They were beaten at home 2-1 by BSC Glasgow, who are pretty much still in the title hunt, really. 41 minutes played, it was a goal for Welfare and a really decent finish from what I heard. It was James McPartlin taking a touch and lobbing Ryan Marshall. BSC weren't out of it, and just over the hour mark, a big looping ball from what I've heard forward from Ryan Marshall comes off a Welfare defender, and it's that man again, Tamor, takes it down and finishes. In the 82nd minute, Tamor picks it up, holds it up, plays in Sean Struthers, who with it all to do slots the ball past Grant. That's a tough but a good win for BSC, especially away from home. It sounded like Whitehill really put the pressure on them to get a result there.
It's one of those games that could have gone the wrong way for BSC. I never actually made it along this weekend, but I was keeping my eyes peeled on the Twitter, and it seemed like it was going to be one of those afternoons where you could see those title hopes beginning to vanish, because Welfare scrapping for anything they can get. A bit of a dodgy pitch at this time of year as well, because the weather's not been kind to it. It just seemed to be a perfect storm, but ultimately managed to grind out a win. So from Swifty's point of view, like Stevie Swift and BSC will be absolutely delighted to get back up the road with the 3 points. It was a genuine kind of banana skin opportunity there. Struthers coming through, he's been fantastic since he's came in on loan. He's been involved in all sorts of goal scoring opportunities, be it assisting or getting his name on the score sheet. And yeah, it keeps the pressure on Kilby at the top. I might have been slightly harsh earlier on when we were saying about Kelty potentially not winning the league this year, because all things considered, if they win their game in hand in BSC, they're both sitting at 37 points. So both of them are still in it, but realistically, when you're looking at the table now, you need East Kilbride to drop at least 3 games.
Yep.
Of their remaining 12, which they've still got to face the other members of the top 3 or 4, but it's the ball's in Kilby's court, is what I'm trying to say. And the likes of BSC, Kelty just can't afford to drop any points in the run-in, so that's why this result was such a big result. At the other end of the table, obviously Welfare had a chance to get closer to Dalbeattie, so they'll be gutted, because ultimately they're 2 wins away from potential safety when you look at it. But they'll get their chances if they're able to push a team like BSC that close, there's no doubt that they'll get their chances to pick up more points in the running.
We say it every week, mate, and I think any Whitehill fans that listen to us will be sick of us saying it, but all they need is a win. I think they need a win to get it going. We've been saying it for like, the last few episodes, but they've got 11 games to save themselves. As simple as that. They seem to have improved under Ian Little, but improvement isn't getting results on the park, unfortunately, and that's really just what they need to do. I think is just get a win. Really got on with it, and in fairness to them, I think they have tried, but it's just not worked out for them, and they have had a sort of tough run of fixtures, I would say. Yeah,
it's been a really tough run of fixtures for them to come in, but they've clearly improved. You can see it just even if you just look at the scorelines. They're running teams right to the wire. They've got Spartans coming to Ferguson Park in the New Year fixtures, which is a tough ask again, but there's a wee bit of a locality there as well, so there'll be decent stakes on it. They'll fancy their chances of taking something off Spartans, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on that one, and if they can even get a draw there, who knows, it might just be a spark.
Again, into the next game, it was Gretna 2008 1, Cumbernauld Colts 3. 28 minutes played. Craig Holmes converts from the spot. It was Sean Brown fouled by the keeper for the spot kick award. So it was 1-0 at half time. 47 minutes in, a trialist got a red card for Gretna. He's been known to be a bad boy, that guy. 65th minute played, Colts break from a Gretna corner. Fraser Team finishes from a Stephen O'Neill cross. 82 minutes, Gretna did give themselves a wee bit of a lifeline with Ash Kelly, but it wasn't to be, as Colts within injury time, Stephen O'Neill chip over the keeper to get the win. Just in terms of Gretna, have they got a bit of a discipline problem? There's a few red cards over the last sort of few games. I know they've not had a manager since Davy Irons left, but is it a bit of a problem? I think they got a sending off against Spartans last week, and then they've had a few other bookings. Is it something a new manager would be kind of concerned with coming in to possibly take over the job?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not sure I'd call it a discipline problem. They've always been combative in the way they play. They put themselves about. They like to let you know you're in a game. If you play things that close, you're generally going to get bookings or sendings off here and there. So it's one of these things that you could see it that way, but on the other hand, if it's controlled, there's absolutely no issues with it. And when a new gaffer comes in, whoever it may be, they'll look at it, but I suspect they'd probably want to keep that edge to their game, because it's part of the way Gretna play, and it can help them if it's controlled ultimately. But in terms of this game, it's Cumbernauld Colts coming back to where they want to be. They've managed to get a win in the books. They've played decent football from what we can tell there, and unlike in previous weeks, they've got their noses in front and they've managed to seal the deal. They've not been great at closing out games over the last month or two, but they're back in it. They've actually played a few less games than other teams around them, so again, they're another team that could get involved with the but they're sitting sixth. They could get involved in this top four push as well. So we'll keep our eyes on them and see how things develop.
Just in terms of the Colts, mate, I always jinx them when I say they're going to do well. But I think everyone knows from the start of this podcast, I've said, I think I'm on record as saying that Colts are pretty much my dark horses. And I don't want to say much further because I'll end up jinxing them, but certainly I do. Yeah, I think they're the dark horses for top four. I think it's the one or two less games, and they've got a lot of fixtures coming up, which I think could potentially ruin a lot of parties going into sort of the new year and whatnot. And we'll obviously get into that next weekend or whatever, but less said about the Colts the better from my point of view. Every time I say they're going to do well, they end up losing, so don't want to jinx them. Don't jinx them anymore. So our final game, it was the league leaders, East Kilbride. Pretty comprehensive win over Dalbeattie Star. I think it was Really expected. It was a 3-0 win at K Park. 24 minutes, the ball breaks to Jamie Longworth in a wide area, who crosses the ball into the box, and Craig Malcolm flicks the ball home. Just before half time, Brady dinks the ball over the top and Chris Humphreys latches on. He beats the fullback and fires the ball into the bottom corner to make it 2. 59th minute played, Paul Woods drives into the box and wins East Kilbride a penalty, and it was converted by Craig Malcolm, who fired the ball home to make it 3, and that was pretty much the game. Very, very much probably as expected, in fairness to Dalbeattie, I think, especially at K Park.
It's kind of the result you'd expect.
Yeah.
When we were looking at the fixture list, no disgrace to Dalbeattie and losing 3-0 to a Kilby side who are absolutely on fire just now. They just keep doing it. They're a really professional outfit just now. They're taking care of what's in front of them, and that's all you need to do when you've put yourself in pole position in the league. And their experience is beginning to show now, because there's not any kind of nerves or any potential issues in the squad, even though sure Malcolm is still caretaker technically. I suspect they're quite happy to leave things as they are and not upset the balance.
Yep.
So even though they're not really making him a permanent gaffer, they're probably doing it on purpose because they can still change things up if they need to. But the cohesion's helping them, and the guys have got in that squad, they know what it takes at a higher level generally, and they're not slipping. So the real test will come for Kilby when they start to play the teams up and around them towards the top of the league as things develop on. But you can't see them dropping any points to sides say out with the top 6 at the moment, and they're not somebody you want to see in your fixture list when you're looking ahead to see who's up next week.
Just on a note on Craig Malcolm, that's been a few games he's went without a goal. He's obviously still been involved in setting up and all that sort of stuff, but if he gets back into sort of goal scoring form, I think I'd be worried any team playing East Kilbride, because it had been the likes of the midfield picking up from when Ross McNeil and stuff weren't firing. Paul Woods, for example, had really had a few good weeks. Anton Brady, Graham Holmes, but Kilby looking quite dominant. Having said that, not mentioning next week's fixture because I'm pretty sure we'll get into it, but looking ahead, they've got Gretna at home on the 12th, and the 26th they've got Gala Ferradine away. On the 2nd they've got a massive game against Spartans at K Park, and on the 16th of February they've got Civil Strollers at home as well. So Gretna and Gala, I would say, are any sort of team can turn up. You'd probably fancy East Kilbride, especially at home, and them 4 fixtures for me are quite massive for them, I would say, and probably including the one next weekend as well. But I think if they can get through them, in fairness, I think they've got BSC again, if I remember correctly. They've got Kelty twice, but I just don't. And we were talking about this earlier with Spartans, but I just don't see them dropping 11 points. Maybe the thing about the likes of BSC and Kelty chasing them, they also have to be pretty much perfect as well.
Exactly. So
it's going to be a very, very difficult chase, I think. You would expect East Kilbride to go on now. It's hard to say. I mean, it's not over till it's over, but certainly the way they've gone with the midfield picking up, and I don't think the same could be said about any other team. For example, when Jack Smith was injured from Spartans, I don't think anyone really came up and sort of picked up from him. Kelty have obviously had issues with scoring lately. I think BSC and East Kilbride are the only ones that have really had a team that have sort of picked up from scoring throughout the season, I would say.
Yeah, BSC's issues were start of the season with their dropping points because of injuries that they had, and have managed to kind of get through that now, that tough spell, and you can see the results since then. But I know you mentioned Craig Malcolm there. I think he did net from the penalty spot, didn't he? But he's taken on a slightly different role now, in that he is the captain, he's a leader, and I don't think it's as much a worry for Kilby if he's not netting all the time.
Yep.
Because he's more than a finisher. He's a creator. He assists as well. and they've got more than enough talent in that team to make up for anyone not scoring as many goals.
Yep.
You look like Sean Winter as well that chips in. So yeah, I think they'll be pretty comfortable with the way things are. That Edinburgh double that's coming up is going to be the real key one, I think. So even if they dropped a points here or there next week, or against Gretna or Gala, I think it'll be the Spartan Civil Service double header that'll really give us an idea what's going to happen in the run-in, because if they don't drop anything in all those games, there's not much that BSC and Celtic can do other than keeping up the chase. They're still going to be behind though, but if there's any sign of weakness whatsoever, they'll thrive on it in the chasing pack. So it's just beginning to get to the really interesting point of the year. Well, I should say the new year.
Yep.
But it's just heating up now that things have settled down a wee bit and we're beginning to get an idea who teams are, and I'm really looking forward to the conclusion of this campaign as we hit 2019.
You know, we often talk about the attacks of team. I said it on Twitter, a week ago or something, but East Kilbride's defence has been absolutely solid this season. They've been fantastic. Yeah. I think they've only conceded 8 in 15 or something like that. So another clean sheet against Albion as well. So a defence has been solid. Going forward has been solid. East Kilbride have just been solid, and that's why they're top of the league.
They made some very clever additions to an already solid squad. Reid especially coming in. I know he's not played every single game, but and again, it's someone that's got the experience, that's been there and done that at a higher level. Pretty much everyone they've brought in has got great experience for the higher levels of Scottish football.
Yep.
And it's really helping them.
Yes.
Like they're sprinkling that in with guys that have obviously had the Lowland experience and know what it takes to go and win this particular competition. If they keep going, there's nothing stopping them taking the title, going on, getting through the playoffs. And I think this we've touched on it very, very briefly, but I think this is a year where there's another promotion relegation, either from the Highland or the Lowland, because the teams at the foot of League 2 are looking a little bit wavy. They've not really got the steel that Cowdenbeath had in previous years. So it's all to play for. Just before we do move on, we've not really mentioned Albiti, so it'd be unfair not to kind of look at their situation as well.
Yep.
They're sitting 6 points clear of Whitehill, a couple of games in hand. They wouldn't have gone to K Park looking for a win. They would have hoped to squeeze something out of them, but their season is going to be made in the upcoming weeks when they're playing the likes of Vale of Leith and the likes of Gretna, likes of University of Stirling, and obviously other teams around them. All they'll be concentrating on is a head-to-heads with the teams around them and looking to get the better of it, essentially.
Moving into next weekend's fixtures, we'll start off with Edisport simply because they hadn't played this week. They're away against Vale of Leith. Tough game at Victoria Park, I think, but Edisport, I would, just the way Vale of Leith are going, having seen them recently, I would expect Edisport to perhaps fancy their chances getting back to winning ways. I know I kind of said they were a bit inconsistent, probably a wee bit unfair to them in a lot of respects. It's only really been the last sort of 4 or 5 games that they've not really picked up anything, and they've been tough games, but I think they would fancy their chances away against Vale of Leith at Victoria Park.
I'd agree with that, and they're also pretty sound in defence is the other thing in Edisport, so it's not an ideal matchup for a Vale of Leith side that are struggling to put the ball in the net just now. So if you force me to pick a winner, I'd definitely side with the Academy. Well,
we talked about it earlier, but Whitehill welfare at home against Spartans, it's another tough fixture for them. They just keep coming for Whitehill. They showed a bit of grit against BSC. Spartans are certainly, I think they'll be a wee bit down after the result against Civil, because as we mentioned, obviously I don't know, it's going to be tough for them to keep in the hunt to regain their title, but that'll be an interesting one. But certainly another tough one for Whitehill. Spartans probably looking to get back to winning ways also.
Yeah, it's a big game. Even if Welfare don't take anything out of that, I don't think they'll be too concerned, because like beforehand they probably wouldn't look at it as a must win at this point, but we're beginning to get to that point, so that they need to get going sooner rather than later. It's not an easy away day, especially at this time of year, as shown this weekend. So I don't know. Spartans obviously going the favourites, but it wouldn't surprise me to see a draw there.
Yep. BSC Glasgow versus Civil Service Strollers, another big one in terms of top of the league. BSC have been fantastic. Civil Strollers, I think that's a tough one, but I would probably favour BSC just because of the form they've been in, but certainly Civil Service, absolutely no mugs. But I think I would just give BSC the advantage just because of the form and the fact that they're at home as well at the Indodrill Stadium.
Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to this game. I'll be there come Saturday, and it's two teams that like to play decent football, two teams that generally score goals, so yeah, it should be a really decent contest, and obviously there's part of me hoping that BSC do the business and continue on, but keeping the impartial head on, it's a really tough one to call, and I'm not going to put my neck in the line because I think it could go either way.
Yep. Cumbernauld Colts versus East Kilbride. Absolutely no comment on this one. As I said, I don't want to jinx the Colts, as I mainly do. I think the latest example is when I said that I thought they were going to get a result against BSC and they never. So I'm not going to say too much about this one. But yeah, as I said, I think they're still my dark horses for top four. But East Kilbride obviously would be a tough challenge. You would expect. In fact, I'm not saying anything.
Well, allow me to possibly jinx somebody then, because I see this as a decent chance for the Colts to get something. So I'm going to put my neck in the line for this one, because Broadwood's got a decent sized pitch, and we've talked about East Kilbride being the experienced team in the league, and they've got brilliant experience in there. I don't necessarily think they've got as much pace as the Colts do through their squad. So if Cumbernauld can approach this game and try to take advantage of the size of the pitch and get down the wings and try and expose them, obviously it's going to come down to chances created and getting the ball in the back of the net, but there's certain advantages there potentially for the Colts that if they can make use of them, there's no reason why they can't take something off a Kilby.
East Stirlingshire versus Kilty Hearts. Obviously I said I'm going to be at the game. I'm looking forward to see Shire. I've seen them once or twice this season, and obviously I've seen Kilty a fair bit, but this interests me because, as I mentioned earlier, Mozza, Kilty have kind of changed their approach. They play a lot wider, they're less narrow, and they have a bit of pace now, especially with Chris Dodd and Ross Much as well, so it's going to be a different sort of fixture that it was in the cup game where East Stirlingshire beat them, and obviously the league game where I think Kilty won at New Central Park. So this will be a very interesting one, I think, in terms of how it sort of pans out.
Yeah, and the same thing applies here at the Falkirk Stadium. It's another big pitch, so you'd think that would play into Kilty's hands if they're going to make use of the wings and make use of the pace in the team as well. Shire have had a bit of an up and down year, and in these kind of games they've not really taken much out of them against the sides higher up in the league. So we'll see if Kilty can get marching on again, because they need to.
Yep.
They can't afford to drop any points or so on. Shire have been spoilers in the past for certain teams, so we'll see how that all shakes out, and there's absolutely still quality in that side regardless of what's happening. So it's not going to be an easy one for Barry and the lads coming down. And
just a note on Kelty's away form, I think they've won every away game in the league so far, apart from earlier in the season against Cumbernauld Colts. So really, yes, you wouldn't think it, but their home form really more recently than not. But I fancy. I quite fancy that to be a decent game. Like Gretna versus Dalbeattie. It's tough. It really is tough because you never really know what Gretna's going to turn up. Maybe a trialist getting sent off again. I don't know. I think they'll be. This will be a game that they'll look at, hoping to go in to put some distance between them and Whitehall again. But Gretna, we know what they can do, and when they're on form, they're probably one of the all or nothing. There's a few of them, we've mentioned it before, but they're probably one of the more all or nothing teams. It's either bitter defeat or a fantastic win. So we'll have to wait and see. At Raydale Park on Saturday, I think.
I'm going to pick this one out as game of the weekend because there's so much riding on it. It's like Gretna will still want to get some points and stay well clear of those two down below them. Not forgetting that there is a situation where you never know, there could potentially be two teams going down. We don't know what's happening with the league in the close season and so on, but this is the kind of game when we talked about Dalbeattie wanting to get their head-to-head matchups and do better than Welfare. This is exactly what I was referring to. If they can go and get points on the board against Gretna and Welfare don't this weekend, that's a gut punch. So there's massive stakes in that, and I know you joked about the red cards there. Wouldn't surprise me with such high stakes if there was a wee bit of discipline here and there going awry. So we'll see how it goes.
For me, I think I done this the last time we done the pod. I think I went a wee bit too early, and I think you have too, because my game of the week is the last one we're going to talk about. It's University of Stirling versus Edinburgh University. University of Stirling be hoping to chase them down and really sort of regain that uni pride in the league, I think, and especially at Fourth Bank. But having seen Edinburgh, quite impressed by them. Abdul Yusuf, obviously a standout player. I think Alistair and everyone that's seen Edinburgh Uni kind of mention him as a decent player. I mean, in fairness, I think they're a decent team. That should be a battle, I reckon, between both uni sides. It'll be certainly an interesting one come Saturday.
Yeah, bragging rights on the line, absolutely. And you're right to mention Abdul Yusuf because he's been an absolute revelation this season. He is absolutely Alistair's Lowland crush as well. But there's other guys in that team as well, like Cuivalainen has been really impressive in the midfield. When you look at the uni team from these parts, from Stirling, I think Bonner's the main man to watch. Lewis Bonner tends to be involved in pretty much everything good that they do. So, like, they've got Aidan Ferris up front as well, who's liable to knock a goal in. But I wouldn't surprise me to see that ending in a stalemate, because that seems to be the way these games have gone this season. So if one of them can get their noses in front and keep it there, they both tend to be reasonably sound at the back. The first goal will be key, I think, in that one, but it should be entertaining for anyone in the area wanting to go and see a game this weekend. Definitely,
mate. So that brings an end to next weekend's fixtures. Time for plugs, mate. I will let you go first as always.
Yeah, keep it nice and simple. At Mozza Plays, 2 Z's in there on Twitter and pretty much everywhere else you want to find me. But Twitter seems to be the place, really.
Yep.
And how about yourself?
At Rampant FM on Twitter and on YouTube also. Another full lineup next week. We're getting back to weekly format after the festive period and into the new year, so hopefully you have enjoyed the episode. We'll be back on YouTube this week, as you probably know if you're watching this on YouTube. But yeah, we appreciate the support as always. Obviously we want to thank George Fraser and Michael Park for their support, everyone that listens, all the clubs, all the players. Hopefully we'll get more involvement again. I think it's probably not been as much as it has been in the past. I think it's mainly just due to the festive period.
Yeah, and just on behalf of the two of us, I'm sure you'll agree with me, so I'll speak for the two of us. A happy new year to everyone in the league, be it fans, and volunteers, club officials, players, all that kind of thing. And yeah, look forward to bringing in 2019 with more of these every week, as we're just on the verge of getting to the real excitement of the season. So if there is anything else that anyone wants to hear about or for us to go into more detail on, please do let us know. Twitter's generally the place to catch us and do that. But otherwise, thanks again for listening. We really appreciate all the support and the people that subscribe to the podcast. However you consume them, be it iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and so on. And we will see you again, and whichever way you choose to take it in next week.